So while you're listening, drop us a follow, subscribe, check out the Discord.
There you go.
Mixing things up.
All right. What is up, everybody? Welcome into episode 13, issue 13 of the Comic Room Podcast.
Nice.
4 months, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
We should get like a gold star for that or something.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Start a podcast, they said. Do a podcast, they said.
I believe that means we've now created a habit, I think.
Right?
Isn't it like 10 weeks is like something like that is like what it takes to like actually form a habit in your life?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we're into our 4th month now of doing this regularly. And the only question was, will we be able to keep the same schedule up once I start the school year and get back to the business of that schedule and then getting into the fall? So far, so good.
Yeah, so far, yeah. Got midterms coming up?
Not yet. No, we're only we just end a first month of school, so they've got it's a semester, so they've got about another 4 weeks before 3 weeks before that happens.
Got it. Dang, that happens. I feel like when you're in school, like when you're in the middle of it, you're like, man, this is so slow, and then you get to the end of it, and you're like, holy cow, that was so fast.
How did I get here? Well, I went to UCSB as an undergrad, and it was a 10-week quarter system. Like if you fell asleep even for a week in the semester or in the quarter, you were almost helplessly behind.
Yeah.
So of course I was almost always helplessly behind. Anyway.
But I think that now, like even like when I'm being so far out of school, when I think of the year as like a school year, I'm like, dang. Somebody's freshman year just flew by, or like somebody's senior year just flew by. Yeah,
we'll be here talking about like the summer before we know it.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Which will be interesting because I'll be in Italy for the first month of it.
Oh right.
But we've already been scheming on how to make that work.
Yeah,
I've already scouted out the Panini comic shops in Florence, so I'm gonna be looking for some cool Mattina covers and I'll get some. Yeah, we'll make it work.
You got to keep an eye out for some toys.
Oh yeah, there's tons of. I know exactly where some of the cool there's a great Lego shop right next to the Duomo in Florence. It's right. There's this. I mean, everything's next to the Duomo in Florence. It's huge, but anyway, yeah, there's some cool toys. But you'll have to let me know what's to get because I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know much about the toys.
You can learn up by then.
Well, I'll have to ask Phil from Vintage Comics and Toys.
Yeah, because he went to some Panini restaurants.
Yeah, I should probably hit him up and say, "Look, give me the lowdown. What should I be looking for?" That'd be fun.
Anyways, yes, welcome in.
Little sidetrack,
little sidebar there. Episode 13. Not much else. There's not really much to introduce except follow us on Instagram. As always, links are in the bio. Discord link is still there, so if you want to join the conversation, hang out with other collectors, make some new collecting friends, or just flex your collection,
flex,
then feel free to join, show it there. If you want to support what we do, you can hit the join button down below. It's $2.99 a month just to support the Comic Room Pod. Great way to show us some extra added support on top of what you guys already do.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
You go ahead and my shown. Well, I guess I'll go first.
Yeah, there it is.
Already here. And I think you brought a slab, so yours is going to stay up there anyways.
Okay.
So I've talked about this book before. This is Spider-Man and Deadpool, issue number 1. This is the first comic that I bought that I can like actually remember.
That's cool.
I bought, like I said, when I was a kid, I'd buy like Flash comics and The Mask, but I don't have any of those comics anymore.
Yeah,
and I don't even remember what they were. But this is one that I bought in high school. I think it was high school, or maybe I was like just out of high school. But yeah, so this is actually pretty cool because this book, for whatever reason, has like gone up in value.
For real?
Yeah, it's like a $20 book now.
It's a sweet cover. I love the cream color. That's really nice.
Pretty cool, yeah. The other cool thing about this is it has a special bonus book, which is Vision number 1. And this is actually partially what WandaVision was based off of.
Really?
So the idea of him having like a whole family and
Yeah.
Just basically like concepts from that story were stolen for WandaVision. And I believe in WandaVision, they have the family dog Sparky. I believe Sparky makes his first appearance.
First appearance of Sparky.
Vision. So,
Nice.
yeah. So what I had always said was, my friend and I bought these at our LCS. And then he sent me a picture, because I've said that on the podcast a couple times. He sent me a picture that he was still with the sticker, that he bought it from a totally different comic shop. And he was like, I'm pretty sure we bought it at this comic shop. So I think I bought this book when we were at our LCS and he didn't. And then he bought that book at the other shop.
You're getting fact checked.
But the thing is, like,
That's sweet.
The shop that he said that he got it from, I've never been to. At least I'm pretty sure I've never been to. It's the one that used to be out here. That's not anymore. I don't know if you remember it.
Oh yeah, like the comic corner.
No, this is another one, but
Okay.
yeah. Anyway, yeah.
From how long ago?
I think it went out of business right before Dara and I moved out here.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it, but
Okay. Yeah, there's only one left
yeah,
in our town.
yeah, a
which is
couple have
bummer.
dropped. So, but yeah, so this is the first comic that I bought coming back. Well, not coming back into the hobby, but in my adulthood, I guess.
That's so interesting because I almost brought. That's almost what I did for this show and tell. I was this close to doing it.
Wow.
But I couldn't decide because I've got the first one I bought, but the first one I actually acquired was a couple of books that my friend who got me into it gave me. And I still have them, and I consider them to be in the first collection I acquired. So I wasn't sure which one to do. That would have been wild though if I did, because you're that means a lot to you, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not in great shape because
You read it.
well, I read it and then I didn't buy bags and boards for it, so it just like sat.
Yeah. Well.
Flying around my room.
Yeah. Why would you buy a bag and a board? No, you wouldn't have thought that.
Yeah. So I actually ended up. I did buy a nicer copy recently. So.
But you got to keep the OG copy
But
just
this
because.
is the OG one, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's even like off-white pages now, even though it's a modern.
That's tough, man. You got to spill coffee on it to get that.
Oh no, it's
Are
not.
those glossy pages in there?
Yeah, I thought
Nice.
I thought it was a news. I thought I remember opening it and seeing like.
It's probably fine.
Yeah, no, it is.
But never slab it because you always want to be able to open it up, right?
Yeah. So here's the
Vision preview.
yeah. Oh, look at that. Power Man and Iron Fist 1 too. So there's the Vision.
Oh yeah, look at that. That's cool.
So
Nice.
yeah, yeah, this is the cover for issue 1. Right there. Vision.
That front door looks like WandaVision.
Yeah. So
Yeah, sweet book.
looking at this, it's probably like a 7580.
Mm-hmm. Imagine though if that was a Silver Age book, you'd be like, this is a cherry condition.
Yeah, somebody 30 years from now is gonna find this exact copy.
Wow.
Like, wow, they kept this in such
Somebody
good
really
condition.
took care of this one.
Yeah,
That's cool, man. I'm glad you brought that. That's fun.
I ripped my. It's fine. I got this. But yeah. So, what was the first comic you bought?
First one I bought was like plunked my own 50 cents down for was Fantastic Four 227, if I'm not mistaken. That was the number, and it's got a. I got a couple of them. I decided back then that I like FF and I was going to buy FF, so I bought Fantastic Four 227 and a couple other books, and maybe you can flash it up on the screen, but I think that was the one.
Nice.
And then I went and found they had a few later. I went back when I had some more money. I bought some of the older ones they had, but I bought this one because it was the best looking one,
Yeah.
And then away I went. I chose Fantastic Four instead of anything else I could have chosen, like Spider-Man, which I don't regret it, but I missed some things.
Sure.
Sure.
I posted today the interview with Gus, Silver Age Comics.
I saw that. I didn't have a chance to watch it yet, but I saw it pop up on my YouTube.
Yeah, it was fun. It was fun, like rewatching the interview because I did it back in April with him.
Yeah.
So it was cool just to like.
Yeah.
You know.
Did you tag him?
Yeah. Well, at least on my Instagram post I did, but I asked him like when he got into comics, when he started collecting.
Yeah.
And he said the first comic he bought was Amazing Spider-Man 134, which was the first appearance of Tarantula, which it's the one that also kind of looks like Spectacular Spider-Man #1.
Right, yeah.
It's like the covers are very similar because it's both Tarantula on it. And then he said the first book he ever spec'd on was Wolverine 1, Frank Miller.
So he bought a few copies.
And he said he just like stood at the stand and then looked at the spines, and then he said in the early 2000s when CGC first kind of came out on the scene, and he sent him in to get him graded. No pressing, no anything. They were all 9.6, 9.8s. I was like, wow.
Yeah, I was a collector when Wolverine 1 when that series came out too, and I bought a couple copies of each one, but I sold them, But it's funny when you live long enough and you tell people stories like that, and they're like, "Wow, you were around when that book was on this rack. I mean, why didn't you buy all of them?"
Yeah.
It's like but someone's going to say that to you in 20 years too.
Yeah.
Someone's going to go, "Why didn't you buy every single copy of that Daffy Duck, Joshua?"
Because he sucks. No, he's cool.
because that will never happen.
All right, your turn.
All right, mine is has a story attached to it, and what I brought was Daredevil issue 158.
Very nice.
Yeah, this is
smooth copy.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cover. It's a CBCS 9.0 authenticated signature, verified signature of Frank Miller on the splash page, and I'll send you a picture of that image if you want to put it on the screen so they can see it, because it's notable because it's an old signature. His signature now is,
quicker.
It's quicker because it has to be, but it's the old. He's had a few different renditions of his signature. One we're just doing FM, was part of it, but before that he had this really cool looking where he had Frank with a big F and the big M, and his Frank Miller, and that's on the splash page. And the story behind this is I started collecting after this book came out. So this book, I did not buy this book on the newsstand, but I did buy it at the first comic convention I ever went to, and it was a Creation Con. I don't know if anybody listening or watching this remembers those, because they're not around anymore to my knowledge. But Creation Cons were around in the early '80s for sure, and this one took place at the Moscone Center, the newly christened Moscone Center in San Francisco. And I think, or if I'm wrong about that, someone let me know if I've got the dates wrong. But in my mind, it's the Moscone Center. It could have been the Cow Palace, for all I know, but I'm pretty sure it was Moscone Center. Me and my friend, Chris, we had to get our parents to take us there. His dad dropped us off in San Francisco, and
did your parents pick you guys up?
I think that's right. I think they kind of swapped it out. Yeah, I think that's how it worked. And we went in there with whatever money we scraped up from. For me, it was like a paper route, and for him,
how old were you?
13, maybe 12, 13, probably 13. Yeah.
Fun age.
Yeah. Oh man, it was. To be dropped off in San Francisco at a convention where I'd only been to like one comic shop, even in my whole life, and to be left there, it was amazing, right?
Yeah,
that whole thing,
sure.
and walking in and just, comic conventions back then are different than they are now. It was just, every booth was a comic book booth, every single one. It was just, there weren't toy booths or much of that. It was all comic book dealers. Anyway, the hot comics at that convention were this book, Daredevil 168, and New Teen Titans issue #1, and I guess DC Comics Presents 26, first appearance of the New Titans. Those were the red hot books. And X-Men 137, Death of Phoenix. Those were the hottest books. And
just a quick note on those books. All of those books have held pretty much. except for New Teen Titans 1.
Yeah.
I feel like New Teen Titans 2 kind of has taken the place of that just because it's the first Deathstroke.
Yeah, that's right. And New Teen Titans 1 isn't actually the first appearance, so it's kind of one of those weird things, right?
Because DC Comics 26 or
DC,
27?
yeah, that's right, 26. Yeah. And I bought my New Teen Titans 1 at that convention, and I paid $18 for it. And I recently slabbed it, and it came back a 9.6, so that's pretty cool. I kept doing a good job with that one. My DC 26, you've looked at it and said maybe I have two of them, and you're like maybe. Well, anyway, you were thinking maybe you shouldn't slab it because it might have some. But anyway, let's get back to this. The running cost of this book when I was at that convention was going to be between $30 and $40. I saw it in some places for 30, I saw it in some places for 40, and I saw it in some places for 35. That was pretty much it. And I don't know why the variance, but that was pretty much what you were looking for. And my friend and I, we were trying to stretch our dollars, but we went to this one booth, and this guy had a Daredevil 158 signed by Frank Miller. And he had just shown it to somebody who was interested. And I already was a massive Frank Miller fan. Like I started, my love for comics started in Miller's heyday. So I mean, that was just, I was a George Perez, Frank Miller, John Byrne, Chris Claremont fan because they were the awesome creators at the time. So I was like, wow, because Frank Miller didn't sign much back then. Not that I knew that, but I know it now. And it was really a rarity. And so my friend and I were like, wow, can we see it? Now, in fairness, I understand now as a grown-up why this guy responded to us how he did. Sure. But as a 13-year-old, I didn't take it very well because his response was something to the effect of, yeah, no, like you're not going to buy it, because whatever, I don't even know what he was selling it for, but he wasn't going to give it to us because he didn't want it mangled and we're just these kids and he knows we're not going to buy it. I actually don't blame him. But at the time we were really offended by that. So we just bailed. We're like, forget it. We'll go, everybody was selling this book. We could find it. So we went and bought it somewhere else, or so we thought. We walked around, but it turns out this guy was selling them he was the $30 dealer. Like he had, multiple copies and selling for 30. So we kind of had to swallow our pride, or else, at least I did. I don't remember if my friend had picked one up somewhere else, but I $5 was $5. I didn't, Sure. And so I swallowed my pride and I went back there and of course there was no altercation. So it wasn't like I really had to swallow it, but I just was like, I'm not buying anything from that guy. We've all been there. Right. Yeah. But in the end, he was the cheapest one on town. So the money spoke, and so I went back there and I doubt he even remembered me, but I said, I'll take, let me get a copy, and they weren't rare. Like I saw a guy with a stack of New Teen Titans issue number 1. It's like literally like from the floor to here. And that's when I realized, I don't know if that book ever going to be worth anything because look how many copies, But anyway, this guy gives me, he takes my money, gives me, from his stack or whatever of Daredevil 158s, he gives me one. The book had only been out for maybe a year and a half, so people had lots of them. And it's bagged and it's boarded, and that's the end of it. And then I went, and in that convention, I did pick up New Teen Titans 1, New Teen Titans 2, New Teen Titans 3, DC 26, Daredevil 158, and 168, and a bunch of other stuff. Went home, got picked up, went home. And then me and my friend Chris, exactly what you and I do after the convention. We're like, okay, let's, What'd you get? Let's just like break them all out. Let's see, So we did. We broke all this stuff out, and we're looking at these. I'll never forget that the number one song at the time was the song by Christopher Cross, the theme from the movie Arthur, starring Dudley Moore. I'll never forget that was a song playing on my little radio when I pulled the Daredevil 158 out. And I opened it up, to look at it, and I'm staring at Frank Miller's signature on the splash page. And I just froze. And my first thought was, that guy ripped me off. Like that guy gave me a plagiar. There's no way, right? Right, yeah. And I looked at my friend, and he looked at me, and he looked at that, and he was like, "Oh my God, what?" And so I I presumed and had believed all this time, you know what? Karmic justice on this dude. You know, he told me, you know, you're not buying this book, and he messed up, and he picked up the wrong book and he gave it to me. He probably at some point was looking all over for that book and probably thought somebody stole it.
Yeah.
But he gave
probably
me.
Thought you stole it.
Yeah, maybe so. Like, but well, in a way, I kind of did. Like, unintended, didn't mean to, but he gave me the wrong copy, and so I had this copy. But I have to say that all these years, I always wondered. I wonder if it's like, if he was like a con artist and he had a bunch of Frank Miller signed ones that weren't really Frank Miller, you know, and there was no internet to really check that out, you know, and so when I sent this. And then as the internet came around, I did look, and he had changed his signature by then, but I could find old signatures and it looked pretty legit. But when I a couple years ago at a convention handed this off to CBCS, I was a little bit unsure whether it was going to come back verified, and because I didn't see him sign it. So when it came back in that yellow slab like that, I was a little disappointed in the grade. I actually think it's a higher grade than an I know myself, but. I've always said if it's a signature, it doesn't matter quite as much to me. But that I was so happy when it came back. And I did take pictures, like I said, of the signature. So I have them to go with it. But it's back then, you know, artists signed on the splash page. They would never sign it on the cover. Would have defaced the book. That was the thinking. That's why, like, when you talked about the Jack Kirby signatures, they're always on the splash page, you know? So, but anyway, that book has always been one of my favorites. Even before I had it, and then after I've had it, and here I am. It's all these years later, and it's still one of my favorites. Yeah. I love this book. I love the cover, but I love the story behind it the most. You know, somewhere probably this guy's probably may even remember that. Like I don't think he would ever forget that if you thought somebody stole your, you know, so. Dude, you can hit me up if you want, but you know, you remember when you said I couldn't see your Daredevil 158? This is as close as you're gonna get.
Man, that's I mean, just what a horrible attitude too. Like, that's also just like it's a problem that we as a community need to like figure out. Not being rude, because people are gonna be rude no matter what, and you can't fix that. But like, getting young people into the hobby.
Right.
And so like that type of attitude towards young people, like,
yeah,
those are the types of things, because young people are so impressionable, especially like you're not even 18 yet. Like, those things are going to that's going to stick with you. I mean, you're still telling it today. Like, that's going to stick with you way longer than if somebody did that to you and you're like 23. Like, you'll take it, you'll be upset about it for like 30 minutes to an hour, and then you brush it off your shoulder, and then like 5 years down the line, you can't even remember. But like, as a young kid, like, you're going to remember that for the rest of your life.
I mean, it made me feel shame, you know, in some weird way. Like, I wasn't worthy to hold the comic, like, and maybe I'm not, maybe I shouldn't ask to hold it, because, but even though the first thing my friend taught me about collecting comics was how to handle them. Yeah. That condition mattered. And I've always babied comics my whole life. So I would definitely have held the comic just fine, but he made me think maybe you know, this isn't a hobby for me. Yeah. You know, and we don't want to do that.
No. We need more young people now.
Yeah, who's going to buy
people to buy our comics?
Who's going to buy my comics when I retire? You know, other people my age, they're not going to buy them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know.
So yeah, I think that's something that's important. And also, like, I have a background in working in hospitality, and so like there's just so I have a background in working in customer service through IT, and then hospitality and working in specialty coffee. And so I've learned a lot about how to communicate with people. Yeah. And I've learned a lot on like how to deal with egos.
I'm sure.
And so like, there's just a way like to handle that situation where it's like, okay, some young kids, I probably can't trust them. Like, like, I don't want them touching this book because I don't want them to ruin it. Like, those are 100% valid things to feel, because you're protecting your product. Right. So like, his gut reaction is like, yeah, no. One, because he's like, I'm not gonna waste my time with you. You're a kid. You're probably gonna mess up the book. Like
Right.
it's a lose situation for me. But the way that like I would handle that is I'd be like, yeah, totally. Like I'm just gonna hold on to it. I'll show you guys.
Yeah.
Because it's a valuable book, and I just don't want anything to go wrong. I don't want you guys to feel bad if anything happens to it. And you totally like alleviate the pressure from them, and you don't even you don't even put it in their minds that it's like, oh, because you're a kid, like I don't want you to touch this. It's just like if something happens with this book in your hands, I don't want you to feel bad for it. I don't want you to have to like figure out how to like come through. So I'll show you guys, but like I'm gonna hold on to it.
Would have been so cool if he did that.
And you're not gonna think twice about it. You're gonna be like, oh yeah, if I were to like accidentally drop it, or like if somebody bumps into me and it falls out of my hands, like I don't want to be responsible.
I would have understood completely.
Totally,
understood.
yeah.
And if he had done that, I wouldn't have that story that I just told. But you know what story I would have probably is the story of how and where Miller actually signed this book, because he might have told me that. Because I would have been like, wow, when did he sign it? How did you get his signature on this? And maybe he would have told me.
Yeah, that's true.
Because I would love to know that too, but I'll never know it.
Yeah,
probably, unless again, in the very, very long shot that somebody's watching this who was that dealer.
Unfortunate, but
yeah. But I do think comic books are the comic book collecting world is about a lot of things. Like last week, I talked about in my show and tell, just sometimes you leave room for buying something because you just like it. You don't plan to buy it, but it's just fun, right?
Yeah.
I also think and I know this, comic books are also have memories attached to them. When you bought it, the story behind it, kind of like a tattoo. And I think it's fun to tell those stories. I hear a cat sticking his paw under, or her paw under the door here. But anyway, yeah. So I love that book. That one's never leaving my collection. You'll probably inherit it, Joshua. So
I have
enjoy it.
I have 2 copies of it. I have a regular version and I have a Pence version. And the Pence version, the color,
the British version, British Pence. Oh wow,
the color is way better.
I think he showed me that one. Yeah, I remember
the
that.
red in his suit. It just pops more.
Yeah, this isn't. I think this book is also a sleeper. I think it's underrated.
Yeah, for sure.
But nonetheless, that's a different topic for a different day.
All right, I have another unboxing.
Here we go. I love this new feature that's just sort of organically become a part of what we do here.
It's the 3rd week in a row, and it's completely coincidental. So, this is from an Elite Comics sale.
Ooh, all right.
I think these are just going to be moderns. There might be a vintage, but there's a slab in here. I think so. Elite did this thing the other day, earlier this week, I think, where I think somebody just needed to sell their collection for whatever reason. So, I think what like Elite does is like, a guy at LJ Comics. So he's done this a few times. He
hosts it or whatever.
Yeah, I think he like goes and like picks up the collection, prices it all, grades it all, does all the work, and then I think he lives near Elite or near Ali because Ali's always there in person.
Oh,
and then they sell off the collection in person, and then
is that Nickel and Dime? Is that what you're talking? No, JNS. That's a lot of fun because there's not any emotional connection or attachment to the comics. They're just moving comics.
Yeah,
and I've bought a lot from those over the past, like because they're just moving it out. They want to liquidate it.
Yeah.
So what is this? You say is it more than one? Oh, it looks like more than one.
Yeah, I think there's a few raws. I don't think there's anything vintage. So if you're watching this and you're hoping for anything vintage, oh, did you say the grade of your 158 for the audio listeners?
Oh, yeah, 9.0.
9.0, yeah.
9.0. I thought it would come back higher, but it's fine. Doesn't if it were 9.4, I wouldn't love it any more.
What is this contraption?
I think it's such a cool cover. And some people actually some people collect moon covers. That's a thing for people. That's one of the best moon covers you're ever going to see. Look at that right there. Anyway. Ooh, a slab.
Oh, right. Okay. So I got here 2 2 raws, both moderns, and a slab, also modern, but the slab is like super cool. Okay, so this first one here is In-Hyuk Lee.
Oh.
And this is a Batgirl cover, actually. And this is DC's Deceased.
Whoa.
So
that's right. You've been getting Batgirl covers.
look at that. And I love In-Hyuk Lee.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Like, he's great.
Wow. That's like a DC versus vampire type of cover.
Yeah.
That's great.
This next one is also an In-Hyuk Lee. This is
Put it here.
yeah. This is cool. This is a Punisher cover. This is Punisher's hand has been turned into like a machete. So another In-Hyuk Lee, a Virgin cover too.
Okay, that's really, really cool. It's like a samurai.
It's a Punisher #1, and there's only 1,000 of these. So
yeah, he does have a samurai sword. You see?
Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
So, and that's his hand. Like, he's not holding it. It's just like attached to his arm.
That's one of the coolest Punisher covers I think I've ever seen.
So I got the, let's see here.
Punisher #1.
I got the Batgirl for 10. And then they wanted 30 for that.
Mm.
And I waited. Nobody bought it.
Ooh.
And then, I think at the end of the sale, they were just like, okay, we have to get as much out of here as possible. So I offered 50% off. So I was like, 15. And they were like, all right.
Wow, really?
So
that's a steal. I love it when they cut good deals like that. Props.
I think I can. This looks actually like a grade bump. This is Star Wars Clone Wars 3, third appearance of Ahsoka Tano. Huh. Oh my gosh, this has a crazy banana. You can see it from the back.
The banana thing is such a curse. Is it showing up on the spine anywhere? Which direction is it bowing?
No, there's no tick.
Okay.
But yeah, no, I mean you can. I'll hand it to you in a second. But yeah, so third appearance of Ahsoka Tano. I have the first appearance in a 9.2. I have the second appearance in a newsstand in a 4.5.
Yeah,
which is newsstands are super low print with these. And then this one. So he had almost the whole run, and I was really, really, really tempted to just like go for him, but then because I was gonna offer a bundle deal for this one and all of the other ones that he had, which it was almost the whole run, and yeah, I ended up convincing myself out of it and only going for this. So this is actually a CGC 9.4 white pager for you audio listeners, but yeah, just hold it from the back and you can see the bend.
Whoa. Yeah.
That's crazy. Isn't it?
That's crazy. But I mean, I don't see any stress on the spine for all that. That's interesting. So maybe not for every comic then, but yeah, I can see it. But in any event, that's a nice book.
Yeah, big time.
One of his cats is named Ahsoka. Have you ever told them that?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So
yeah, we named her Ahsoka because we found her in the wash next to our old apartment, and she was just meowing super loud, and so we found her. She was a kitten, a few weeks old, and she has 2 older brothers. So Ahsoka's got 2 older brothers, Obi-Wan and Anakin, and was adopted into the Jedi.
That's great. Yeah, cool.
Ahsoka eventually defects from the Jedi Order, so I wonder if Ahsoka will defect from our family.
No, she's a keeper. She's not going anywhere.
So that's our show and tell. Plus, a 3rd week in a row unboxing. I guess we'll see what happens next week.
I know. I got to maybe I'll bring a box. Yeah.
I finally got my CGC. Some that I sent in back in July. Finally, it's on its way. It should be here Tuesday. Although it says it's in Texas right now, so I might even get it Monday. Because I feel like if it's in Texas now on Friday, it shouldn't take more than 2 days to get here.
No.
But I'm just gonna list off some grades that I got back. Marvel Superheroes 20.
Yeah.
Doctor Doom. I bought that. It was estimated 6.0. I bought it for $250 during AtCon in April from Silver Age Comics. Go check out my interview with him on the channel. Came back 7.0 Off-White to White, which is like a $450 book. So
yeah, he grades. He's a conservative grader.
Yeah,
like I know. And
I pressed that one. That was one of the first square-bound books I've pressed.
That book's tough.
Yeah, square-bound's not easy.
No.
What else do we get here? Fantastic 410. Downside to this is it's got Marvel chipping on the top edge, but 5.0 Off-White to White. Pretty happy with that.
Yeah, that's nice. Doom, third Doom.
Yeah, third Doom. So unless I find a nicer copy that's not Marvel chipped, I'm probably going to keep that one.
Remember that one that showed up on Instagram, and it was a really good price. And I'm like, man, that's really good. And then I almost put an offer on it, and then I noticed like something doesn't look right. And I looked a little closer, and it was someone had drawn like a Manchurian mustache and beard on Reed,
yeah.
and like blacked out like a tooth or something like that.
Made him look like a pirate.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I don't want that one.
Also got here Fantastic Four 17, which is another Doom cover.
Yeah.
6.5 Off-White to White. That's pretty high grade.
That's a very high grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those early FFs you get above a 5.0, they start to get expensive.
So I have FF 16 and a 7.0, so that'll pair nicely.
Yeah.
FF 23. I already had a copy that I bought at New York Comic Con last year. I bought it raw, got it graded, came back at 5.5, and then I saw this copy of FF 23. I want to say at WonderCon for like, I want to say I got it for like under $100, and this came back at 5.0 white. So I'm gonna sell the one that I got at New York Comic Con.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna keep this 5.0 just because it's white pages, and I like white pages a little more. So
if I wasn't saving for LA Comic Con and AtCon, which happens to be happening the same week, which is just very unfortunate, but I would probably make an offer on your FF, on that FF.
I mean, you still can if it's a book you want.
Well, you know it is, but I can't. But I can't. I'm gonna save my. I won't have any money to spend.
You spend your money.
Don't sell it yet. Just wait. Wait till after the. No, you're selling it because of the con.
Yeah.
That's right.
I got Submariner 48, which is I'll put that one. Well, I'll probably put all these on the screen.
Yeah.
But Submariner 48, I'll show you a picture right now. This came back in 9.4.
Oof.
9.4 white pager. And I think...
And what's the year of that book?
It's a 20 center. But look at that cover, man.
Oh, my gosh. That's one of the best... That's way better than the Avengers Doom cover that people are all buying right now.
Yeah.
Avengers, 19 or something like that?
20
whatever.
something, 23? No.
Wow. And and all that white around it to get that in 9.4?
9.4 white pager.
So this is early 70s. Wow.
Yeah.
But you're not selling that book.
No.
You got to hang on to that book.
Yeah, I can't believe I got that 9.4 white. This is a big one right here. X-Men 43 from 1968. I got this one at AtCon from Silver Age Comics as well. I remember when they showed this, the cover was white. Like, looked like it was like we were in 1968 buying it off the rack. This came back a 9.0 white pager. And this book looked like it was what I meant to say was, I believe that they were selling it as like a 8.085. So,
yeah. So Rage, I've bought a few things from them that have come. Most everything it's not uncommon for him to grade stuff, and then you get it graded, and the grade's higher. That's the way he does business.
Yeah. Teen Titans 7, which is it's from 1967. This is a spec book for me. This is a 9.2 white pager. It's the first appearance of Mad Mod. So if you're familiar with Arcade in Marvel Comics, Mad Mod predates him and is essentially the same character pretty much.
Did you say it's 9.2?
9.2 white pager.
Ooh,
from 1967.
That's it. That's tough. That's as old as I am.
Yeah. ASM 60 off-white to white. It's just a cool. I think that's the one where Kingpin is like swinging Spider-Man from his legs.
That's a great cover.
Yeah. I actually got that book at Silver Age Comics the first time I went in 2022.
Yeah, I remember when you bought that book. That was early in your collecting.
And then there's more books in there, like some random Bronze Age stuff, like some cool like Daredevil frame covers, but nothing crazy that people are going to know about. But the last one I'll talk about is the Jungle Action 6 that I got. Remember?
Yeah.
4 or 5 off white to white.
Nice.
So
it's a great book.
I bought that book for Killmonger. Yep. I bought it for $25 at Comics and Cocktails.
I love going to these conventions with you, Joshua, but at the same time, it's like you tilt all the deals toward you. Like, so if I'm in your orbit at these cons, I'm gonna. It's fun to watch you get these great prices, but none come my way. Like it's amazing. The great deals that you get on some of these things, and for that book to come back 5.5 and you paid $25 for it, that's crazy.
Yeah.
What you said 5.5? Is that what you said? 4.5?
4.5.
4.5? Man.
Yeah. So I don't think it's worth too much. I think it's maybe the ceiling on that. And a 4.5 is like 100. But if it was 2018 or even 2021, a 4.5 is probably going for a couple hundred.
Yeah, I've never really had good timing selling my books. I sold my 9.8 Jungle Action 6 in
2018.
2018, right? just before the boom. But I sold it because I sold it about 2 weeks before the movie came out, because my thought was, well, if he dies, then that'll be that for the character. Like people won't spec on this book, so the height of the spec will be right now before the movie comes out.
Yeah,
and I would have been right, except for the comic boom. Like nobody could have predicted that.
But didn't we look at the prices for the 9.8 and you got like it did go higher?
Yeah, because the first person to sell that book
was
me, and so that's going to be the lowest one.
Yeah,
and then the next person. I sold mine for, I can't remember what it was, 3,100.
Yeah,
the next person sold it for like 4,500.
No, I think it was like 5,000. Yeah. But I mean, that's a risk on them though. Cause they took it, they waited for the movie and they were either going to flip it or they were going to eat whatever.
And then it probably went up higher in 2020. And
I don't think we have a recorded sale higher than that second one. So
I feel better with every passing second here. I missed the highest ever sell for that book by one sale.
Yeah, well, I mean, you wouldn't. I think.
Oops.
I mean, you got that book.
I paid $125 for that book on eBay, probably 5 years earlier,
and you probably still made more money than that guy did.
Yeah, my percentage was probably. Yeah, I think I have a new mantra though for comic collecting, and that is, unless I have duplicates, don't sell first appearances. I've never not regretted selling a first appearance. Every single first appearance I ever sold, I have regrets attached to it.
That's understandable.
So.
All right, quick news.
Yeah.
Let's run through these. CBCS sues their former employee for moving to PSA and breaking NDA. One of the things mentioned in the suit is the introduction of subgrading to the comic hobby. Subgrading is common and pretty much expected in the card hobby for graded cards. This consists of centering, corners, edges, and surface. So how do we feel about that stuff? If CBCS is going to introduce it to their comics, what do you think?
I have no care whatsoever about NDAs and lawsuits. That doesn't interest me. But the interesting thing is what you just said, right? I'd love to see him do it. Somebody should roll it out and see how we like it, because there are definitely different types of 7.5s, for example, right? There's a 7.5 that may be off-centered, but it has a sharp corners, and there's another 7.5 that, I don't know. I think they have to have very defined though categories, and maybe they'll address the issue that we've always talked about, which is fading. Like I think that one would be a category I'd like to see. Color strike on a comic should matter in grading, should be noted. Sharpness of corners, I think, just like a baseball card.
Yeah.
And then like the cut of the comic, if the comic's been miscut.
Yeah.
But what I guess so I'm for it, but I don't want to see it get out of hand, because then it's going to become really, the cool thing about grading right now is it's simple enough. We understand that not all 5.0s are the same, but we can make decisions within that. If you have too many different variations, then it could just gum everything up a bit. But if they do 2 or 3 or 4 and leave it at that, maybe 3, but which 3 would they do? What do you think about it?
Yeah, I mean, the Ghost Rider is a little uneven. You see at the top, like right above the Marvel Comics group.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I just don't really. I'm more so just interested to see how it'll play out in a context like a live stream. Because I feel like it has the potential. Obviously, it'll be a long time before.
Yeah.
Like, people can start consistently asking questions. Like, because there has to be enough books that hit the market.
True.
To be like, oh, what's the corners on it? What's the cut on it?
Yeah, I mean, like, look at this book right here. Is this? Would you say this book is? Looks like the top, at least on this edge here, even though it looks actually a little uneven, and that 40-cent thing right there is cut off a little, right?
Yeah.
So that would be noted, or
yeah.
You would think so, but what will the parameters be? Are they going to talk about gloss left on the cover? That could be something. They got to pick 2 or 3, and that's enough. Like,
yeah. So I'm just not looking forward to just like being in live sales.
Oh
and
my
people
gosh,
are like,
that's true.
What's the corner? What's the, like, I'm sure sellers will just have all that information ready. But like I said, that'll probably be a ways off.
Yeah.
Because like there's CBCS hasn't even introduced it yet.
Right.
Don't know if they will. And yeah, it's going to be a while before enough books hit the market.
It's just, yeah, I don't love it, but I do understand it in claim sales when people say, okay, can I take a closer look at that slabbed book? I get it, because I've made mistakes buying slabs, which I wish I didn't buy. So I understand that. But I think a way around it, you could at least say, well, here's a certain number. Just, we're not going to get into all that. There's a certain number. Check it out if you want to.
Yeah, I don't mind that as much, but it is annoying when like it's just like consistent.
Okay, can I just since we're airing out our grievances, here's one thing I don't like about that bugs me in claim sales is when you're getting in chat people asking, do you have this book? Do you have this book? Do you have this? Which they may be asking because they want to know if they should save their money because that book's coming up. I do understand that one asks that question, but you just like let the guys put the books up, and when the host entertains that question a lot, it's irritating because there's probably like a book on the wall that I'm interested in and I want him to get to it, and then someone just sort of cuts the line because they want to know if someone's got. What's one that I always ask for? Do you have any Spider-Man's pre 50 Spider-Man? Like that one always gets asked,
Yeah.
And it's like just wait.
My biggest pet peeve in a claim sale is when people like jump in late and they're like, just got in, can I get a wall scan? No. You can just wait.
There'll be a wall scan eventually.
Just oh my gosh.
Yeah, the world actually doesn't revolve around you, But anyway, for the most part, they're really fun, but those are kind of frustrating.
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, that'll be interesting. You're right, though. It's going to be a long time before it really impacts the market. But I'm up for something new. Let's see what happens, right?
Yeah.
And if it turns out that nobody wants it, then it'll go away. But I'm all for them giving it a shot. Why not?
Yeah, sure. All right, last piece of news here is last week we saw Knull in the Venom trailer.
Yeah.
So co-creator Ryan Stegman seems to have not known about Knull's appearance in Venom 3. He tweeted. Pull up this. Can I pull up this tweet? I can't.
Stegman.
There we go.
That's a great name. It's fun to say his name.
Yeah.
Stegman.
Sounds like a dinosaur. So he tweeted on, and I think actually in his signature, because I have a couple. Actually, I have the first prints of Knull signed by him. He writes like Stegman, and then he draws like when he finishes the N, he draws back like a little like hump, and then he draws like the spiky.
Are you serious?
Spine. Yeah.
So that means probably for his whole life, growing up, he straight owned that. He's like, I'm the Stegosaurus man. That's awesome. Good for you.
On September 12th, he tweeted, "Yes, I did co-create Knull. No, I didn't know until today that he was going to be in Venom Last Dance. Yes, I do expect to finally be able to afford that Lazy River moat around my house." So he tweeted that.
Nice.
And then 2 days later, the same day, Donny Cates, the other creator, so Stegman was the artist on that run, Cates was the writer. He tweeted this. On September 12th, same day, he just tweeted a picture of money in the Venom logo, and then he just said LOL. So people were like confused if like Sony, like just on like the communication of like Sony to these creators, like why they weren't let in on like kind of the creative process of these characters.
Right.
And then this final tweet 2 days later, so I believe this is going to be like, set opening here. September 14th, Donny Cates tweets, "I've been talking with Sony and I read a script, not the script. So I read a script for Venom: The Last Dance, and I'll say this, it is so much bigger and so much more ambitious than you can imagine. And Knull, holy bleep. That's how you treat a king. Happy birthday to me. See you at New York Comic Con." So there's just been like a small conversation, which I found interesting, that these creators of the characters are not let in on the creative process, are told. So Marvel owns the rights to these characters, but these two creators were left in the dark, unfortunately. Marvel especially is notorious for not compensating their creators well.
Right.
I mean, almost the whole reason why Jack Kirby left.
Yeah, historically. That's
Todd McFarlane. Like, you just have a history of people leaving Marvel and not really working with them anymore. So I guess I was just curious why they kept this info hidden from the co-creators. And my assumption is that it can't be for spoiler purposes because they're professionals in the industry. So
they can keep a secret.
That's part of their job.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a little fishy.
Do you think so? Will they? Are they getting compensated? Like when you tweet out something like money in Venom font, are you saying yay money for me? Which seems to be suggested when Stegman says I can afford that or I'm going to get that moat around my house, or is he saying, yo, you better pay me?
Yeah. Well, the thing is like their
one.
first tweets, like Stegman didn't know about it. So I guess I'm just curious on like how that process happens. Like,
yeah.
I can sit here and speculate. Ultimately, I don't know the actual answers.
Right.
But it's like, if Stegman didn't know, then he didn't know he was getting a payday. Or it's like, did they tell him, like, did they get an email the same day that trailer dropped? And they were like, hey, we put your character in the movie. This is going to be like your compensation. But I mean, I feel like that's...
Ryan, let us know. Drop us a comment in the comment section and tell us.
So, but my speculation is I kind of feel like he was just like throwing that out there as like I'm assuming I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
Like, and that is the right thing to do.
But I have heard, from creators that they don't see they're not owed compensation when the characters they've created are used in other areas. I just find that hard to believe, given all the fights that Neil Adams fought and the things that have occurred in the comic industry in the last 60 years. that would still be the case, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the, when you're on the contract you sign, but I would think, like, for example, did Mac get paid when the Echo series came out? Did he see some, money for that? It's like, how, when you see him at a convention and he's signing something, it's not really it'd be rude to ask.
Yeah, for sure.
So you don't ask, but I'd sure like to know.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't need to know how much or anything like that. I just would hope he got paid.
Especially when these companies make billions of dollars on these movies.
But I did recently talk to, I won't say who, but someone who created a character that you would recognize, saying that he doesn't own it, and there's no guarantee of any compensation if it gets used in a movie or a show. Yeah. And I just really, but I guess you can negotiate. Like Jim Lee probably, at a certain point negotiates that.
Yeah, and that could just be like a more modern thing that like these writers and artists put in their contracts. It's like,
yeah,
if I create this character,
if that were me, and I were a writer for a comic series, I'd be like whipping out new characters every other issue, just like throwing out, it's like trolling for fish. Like one of these might hit.
Yeah, the
you'd have to do that, right?
Yeah,
every single one of my issues would be a first appearance of something.
That's funny. Yeah, I mean, the odds will hit at some point.
Yeah, right. Some one of these characters.
Yeah, not to bash him too much, but I think it is a shame in some ways, the love that Stan Lee gets for all the Marvel stuff, like being in the movies and all that stuff, when he just like has taken credit in the more later years for like a lot of the success of Marvel. And even the early stuff, like with the FF, like so much of that is owed to Kirby, and that's why Kirby left, is because he wasn't getting the respect that he was due.
Right.
And then like even with Spider-Man, like Spider-Man really took off when Romita took over.
Yeah, and Ditko too.
Yeah.
Like I know that I've seen there's a clip where Stan Lee is describing the dispute that he and Steve Ditko had about, I think if I'm remembering right, it's Ditko, about Ditko wanting to be credited with being one of the creators of Spider-Man, and the summary of this interview is that Stan Lee conceded some things, but the truth is he doesn't really feel that he was the co-creator of Spider-Man, because he didn't come up with the idea. That was him and Stan and Kirby who did. But Ditko, like Romita, had a ton to do with creating the things about Spider-Man that we celebrate today. Yeah. So they should get something. Like they developed it. Yeah. This goes way back to Bob Kane and Bill Finger with Batman. Yeah. And thankfully, Bill Finger gets credit now, but it's still, I see it like Bob Kane with Bill Finger. Like it's not. So this is not new, right?
No. And
was it Schuster, and I always get it mixed up. The creators of Superman, Schuster and Simon and Schuster, or am I mixing it up with the publishing house? I always mess that up. It's like this mental block I have. We were talking about that the other day. But the creators of Superman, they were denied credit forever.
Dang.
It wasn't until 1977, 40 years later, that they got even acknowledged formally by DC that this was that they created it, and they, I mean, that's a $1 billion industry of Superman.
Yeah. I think Stan Lee definitely is like his marketing genius and his ability to like popularize these characters is not something to understate. Like,
right.
Because without him, without his savviness and the business marketing side, like,
right.
Comics aren't where they are today, but it
true.
Seems like he wanted all the glory. And truly, I don't know if this is out of pocket to say, but he was not a good writer. I've been reading old FF stuff and old Spider-Man stuff, and it's tough to get through
Yeah,
sometimes.
it is, and it's some of it's the style, but the truth is there are really really great stories in comics told in before him, and it's just, but what he should get credit for is the vision, and of course just being
Execution.
the execution, and the marketing guy. Siegel and Schuster, that's what it was, not
Siegel
Simon.
and Schuster.
Simon Schuster is a publishing house. Siegel and Schuster. Apologies to the Siegel estate and family. Siegel and Schuster, but I know it. I think that's a fair assessment. I don't think anybody's really going to argue that with you about that. No.
So
that's a little bit heavy-handed.
But on to a character that I believe he created, Agatha.
Yeah.
Or Kirby created. Who knows?
Yeah. Agatha Harkness.
Yeah, we got Agatha All Along this week. First 2 episodes. You're the FF guy here, so what do you think?
So here's the thing that I'll say this. I'm going to keep. I like it after the first 2 episodes. I'm optimistic and pleasantly surprised with the product that they've delivered in the first 2 episodes. It's what I like about it. I think most of all is that it so little has been done with Agatha Harkness as a character, even in the comic books. She's got some storylines, but really there's not a lot that you have to sort of live up to in the comics. That it all feels fresh and new. Obviously they're spinning off of WandaVision, but if that's not fresh and new, I don't know what is. Like that was one of the coolest things that Marvel has put out in years. I think I love that storyline, and so it is a sequel to that from Agatha's storyline. Where she, I don't want to give any spoilers, although it's been a while, but where she gets dropped off at the end of the WandaVision is where she picks up in Agatha All Along. So, I mean, not like the situation she's in is where it gets picked up, not like the very next day. So from that perspective, there's not a lot that you can compare to and say they're getting the story wrong or they're getting the character wrong. So they really get to hand it off to Catherine Hahn and just let her run. And like I said before, she definitely has the chops to do that. That's what I was hoping they would do is let her cook, because she's so funny and also she's really good at being funny in sort of almost a slapstick way, but then turning really fast and being something else. And she's really good at that. And I really like her portrayal of Agatha Harkness has been really fun in the first 2 episodes. And I just think Aubrey Plaza is, she's in episode 1, not episode 2, there's a lot of good chemistry between those two in episode 1, I thought. And Aubrey Plaza is just a quirky individual anyway. Yeah. So she just slots into that role really well, her role. So, and they and I'll let you, I know you'll really want to talk about this because you really love Wanda Maximoff and the Scarlet Witch storyline. They drop some hints about her in there. Don't want to say too much, but there's certainly a lot of hints that she's either going to show up or be resurrected. I'm not certain that's going to happen in the Agatha All Along, or I don't know, but it's a story's going to be good either way. But they're teasing that a little bit, but we already know that Elizabeth Olsen is going to come back and play the Scarlet Witch, so we know she's coming back. Is she coming back in this one? I don't know. The storyline is they're on the Witch's Road, and the Witch's Road, if you get there, you get your heart's greatest desire at the end of the Witch's Road. Well, there is certainly a character on the Witch's Road that I'm pretty sure the return of the Scarlet Witch would be the thing. And I don't want to say much more than that, but anyway, so yeah, I'm down for it. I think it's fun. It's not trying to be too serious. It's having fun. They had that song, and people kind of, I think they really enjoyed that song. It was pretty catchy, honestly. And, take it for what it is, right? Like, I think it's trying to be light and fun with some, it feels like the Wizard of Oz. Like they're on this road. It's like the Yellow Brick Road, and they're on a quest. Definitely a quest story, like a hero's journey story. Except the hero is not really a hero. It's Agatha Harkness who's hated by everybody. In the story. So, but anyway, yeah, I'm up for it. I hope that it pays off, but. My biggest fear was that it would be horrible. I was afraid it was going to be horrible, and that like Rotten Tomatoes was going to just obliterate it in the first 2 episodes, like The Acolyte or something like that. But last I checked, it was getting like 76% on Rotten Tomatoes, so that's solid, right? For what it is, it's not Daredevil, right? It's not trying to be that. It's trying to be something completely different. So yeah, I'm so far so good. I think with it.
Yeah, people in the Discord actually they're like, yeah, I'm not watching this. Yeah.
No, check it out.
And I was like, I mean, I'm sure there will come a day, but I mean, as far out as I can see, there's not going to be a time where I'm not watching.
Yeah.
Like Marvel movies, like even if they just become so horrible and campy, like, and they revert back to 60s Adam West Batman style, like,
yeah,
it'll still be fun to watch, but yeah, I don't think there's any reason not to. I mean, if you don't want to watch a show, like that's a totally valid thing, but like I think if you're invested in the storyline, in the overarching storyline, like it's hard to like walk away from that and like turn around. And so, I mean, you could call me I'm the problem because I keep supporting these things, but I mean, I want to keep up and I want to talk about these things on the podcast.
Yeah, for sure.
Why. And I agree with you. I think I'm actually glad that they dropped the first 2 episodes, because I think if they just ended with the first episode, I would have like been like, eh.
Yeah.
But the second episode was really good. Kathryn Hahn is an incredible actress.
She is.
That's pretty much the only thing I said in the Discord when they were talking about it. Is I said she's an incredible actress. Like, you have to give her flowers.
Yeah,
like,
she's really good.
She is so funny, and that's kind of like what she's made her career off of. But she's proved that she's more than that.
Yeah.
And
some great lines though.
Oh yeah, I was like that first episode. That first episode was so funny because it's like you could tell you were in her spell.
Yeah.
And you could tell that everybody else wasn't. So like her interactions, like when she was like trying to be serious, and like there was the point when Rio was like, Rio is Aubrey Plaza's character, where Rio was like, oh, okay, we're doing this, okay, and then she sits down and like, okay, let's talk the case.
It was so good.
She just like gives into like her delusion essentially.
When she says to Agatha or Agnes, whatever, she says, "Is this really how you see yourself?"
Yeah,
that was a great moment.
Yeah,
it is. Wow, because you get into the psyche of what this spell that she's under really is. You know, it's a mirror of, I get like a dream. Like, this is how you're working this out in your dream.
I'd like that whole, like, she wasn't acting all that serious. Kathryn Hahn, like, you could tell it was like performative acting while she was in that trance. Yeah, like she was being like overly serious as a detective, like dramatic. And then Rio being like, like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. Like, then I'll play the game with you. Like, okay, let's talk the case. I thought that was just like great. I feel bad for the actor who plays Teen. I believe this is his first acting credit. He's done like West End stuff, which is like Broadway for London. Okay. I don't know if he's actually done Broadway, but he's a stage actor. And I feel like you could tell his cadence was so different than everybody else's cadence. I don't know if you caught on to that, but I feel like you could, or for me, I feel like his cadence just felt very play-like and musical-like, and the way that he was like interacting with the other characters. It just felt like he was performing on a stage, which is not a bad thing, but in the context of a TV show, at least for me, his cadence was like way different than like Kathryn Hahn's cadence. Yeah. And it's also just like unlucky that like your first like acting credit, you have to stand next to. It's lucky and unlucky.
Yeah.
It's lucky because your first acting credit, you get to work next to Catherine Hahn.
Yeah.
It's unlucky because you have to work next to Catherine
Yeah.
Hahn.
I mean, and the guy who plays Teen is, you know, a gazillion times the actor I'll ever be.
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, for me to stand there and judge, but at the same time, you know, we are reacting to the thing we're watching. Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I saw some of that too, where it just was, I guess I didn't know what to call it, but now you just, I think, nailed it for me. He does feel like a stage actor. Like some of the movements are just bigger. You know, they're just delivered. I don't know how else to say it. Sort of like delivered to the back of the room, like to be heard, like just bigger.
Yeah.
You know,
there is like I feel like with stage acting, a lot of it is timing, and it's like a lot of like things trigger other things in stage acting. It is the case in like set acting, but it's also different because they can run a take 100 different times, and you don't need to like trigger something to get something else. You're just like, okay, like we're gonna retake that. We're gonna take that. You pick the best one. Okay, you go to the next scene. Okay, we're gonna retake it. And so you can just like keep going through, and you can keep like mastering that scene or that engagement. Whereas with the play, you have one take. And that's it. Like you have practice and rehearsals and like studying and learning, but one, like you said, the theatrics being dramatic, like you have to do that on stage because you need the audience to see, you need the audience to hear.
Yeah.
Like in a film, like we're going to talk about the Penguin. There was a scene where Sophia Falcone's character was talking to Penguin, and she had like a slight mouth twitch. And that's something that's like brilliant on camera. That's something that on stage you're never going to see.
No,
like, you're never going
to
catch that on a stage actor.
No.
They might do it, but you won't see it. So for them, it's all about making sure that they're being dramatic, that they're being big, so that everybody in the room can see it.
Yeah,
so,
a lot of physicality. Yeah.
Yeah. So I feel like you could just see like those triggers hitting for him, and like he's like really jumping in on points. But yeah. I talked about him way longer than I wanted to.
It's all right.
But yeah, so I think
isn't that a little on the director though too? Because isn't it the director's job to get the best performance out of like
yeah,
you know, someone?
And like I mean to also be fair to him, like the more he acts in front of a camera, the more he'll know how to balance the two. Like
and it's not like he took me out of the scene or anything like that. I wouldn't say that.
He did for me for one scene, like, and then that was when I just like it all kind of like I had realized it all, and then I was like, okay, you know, he's never been on camera before. It's like not big of a deal.
Wasn't like the window scene, was it?
No.
Okay. Just wondered about that.
No, I think it was when Catherine Hahn was like talking to somebody. Sorry, when Agatha was talking to somebody, I don't remember who. And he was just like, the way that he was like jumping in and jumping out, it just felt very play-like. And then I noticed it for like the rest
now
of the episode.
it's in your head.
And then I was like, oh. But I mean, yeah. If he's a good actor, then he'll adjust and he'll learn and he'll grow. He's young too, but
you know, bringing this back to the comic book world, what do I think the effect of this will be on like Fantastic Four 94? You know, for Agatha Harkness, it's because it got a little bit of a run when it was announced they were going to, you know, and with WandaVision and all that stuff, but not that much because the truth is Marvel was putting out some dogs, and they, you know, so I think that the expectations were tempered. There's nothing that I've seen in the first two episodes that makes me think, I wish I'd sold the book 2 weeks ago. Like, I actually think it's, I don't know if it's going to spike like run or anything, but it could. But I definitely think it's going to hold its own. People aren't going to go, I'm dumping my book. It's not going to be X-Men 130 because Taylor Swift didn't show up in Deadpool.
So I think for Fantastic Four 94, I think probably if the show's good and if Catherine Hahn keeps performing, like keeps giving her like excellence as she always does, I think you might see a raise in the floor for the book. And the ceiling might go up a little bit, but I feel like it'll probably have a stronger floor. Because like with I feel like when it comes to like characters in the Marvel and DC universe, like if it's a letdown, if it's average, if it's mid, whatever, like people are just like, like, okay, like let me just like get rid of this.
Yeah.
But if it's good, then people will be like, I don't know, like the show is pretty good. Like, be interesting to see where she goes forward. Like, this is my bottom on it. Like, people will hold a lot more on their floor. So I feel like it'll probably have a stronger floor. Last thing on Agatha is Rio says when they have their like fight, I think she says something like, my heart is black, or I have a black heart. So
that's a great line.
The speculation is actually something that I spec'd on super early, like in 2022 when we were first collecting.
Early on. Yeah.
It's the first appearance of Blackheart, which is the son of Mephisto, and makes his first appearance in Daredevil 270.
I remember you talking about that.
Spider-Man's on the cover. I have like 4 or 5 copies, so
hit him up, chat. No,
so I think Wednesday. I think they said producers were teasing that on episode 3 we're going to hear a name that was speculated a lot in WandaVision. So now everybody's speculating, is that Mephisto? So
there it is, Silver Surfer 3 right there.
Yeah, I'll sell that. It's a 6.0 white pager, and if you know, that book in white pages is not easy to come by. But I
want that book. You know, I want that book.
I will sell it when he makes an appearance. If he makes an appearance on the show, not off of a name drop. But I think in episode 3, if they are going to name drop, I think it might be like her saying, "I'm Blackheart, daughter of Mephisto." So it could be like that. There's also Mephisto, which
I gotta get that. I've wanted Silver Surfer 3 for so long.
You don't have it?
No, I don't. I've never owned that book. No, I don't have any grade copy of it.
Wow.
And you're making me think I've got like until Thursday to get one, because
Wednesday
to get
Wednesday
one.
night, 6 p.m.
Okay. And it's come down a lot.
Yeah, I bought that book for $600.
Yeah, that's
like Off-White to White sell for like $400, $450. I can't. The most recent white page sale I found was a couple like early in 2023. So they're not common. So I feel like I can actually ask a firmer hold price for that book.
It's a great cover.
It is
its
a great
first
cover.
appearance. It's just a great run. Why it only lasted 18 issues, I don't know. It's a great run. And I've got 1, 2, 4, 7. I've got like half of them.
Yeah.
But the last like key one that I don't have is 3. I don't have 14 where Spider-Man appears either. But I mean, that one doesn't really. I'm not really jonesing for that one. Yeah. But this one, and I'm partial to orange covers. I love orange covers.
Maybe we make a deal with that one in FF23.
Yeah, maybe. But you'll never be happy because you're going to take a loss on it because you paid 2022 prices.
Yeah, it is.
And I don't want you to be unhappy with what you sell to me.
I think if I get,
we'll talk off camera.
Yeah, I've conceded. I've already conceded the fact that I'm not profiting off that book, so I'm not going to be like upset at taking a loss.
But then deep down inside, your father-in-law's a sucker. You might profit still.
Man, Bob, I don't know. I think this book's going to jump. I think $800 is my price.
When I was a kid once, I sold my big wheel or my bike or something to the kid down the street for a bag full of pennies because he convinced me that copper was going to be rare. And so I came inside and I told my mom and dad, and they walked me down down the street to this kid's house and got my bike back.
Wow.
So I've always been pretty gullible.
That's funny. So yeah, probably like 900 is probably what I'm going to ask. Just bump it up another 100.
I'll pay you in pennies.
Oh man, that's funny. All right, we got another show that came out last night.
Yeah.
We got The Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
As I need to lower this. I need to bring it down a bit because it's too high. You can never see the full poster. So I'm gonna do that by next episode.
Yeah. That thing is this is this poster's clutch though.
So I am a huge fan of Matt Reeves' Batman. Robert Pattinson is the GOAT. Brand new shirt. Batman.
That's clean. I like it. I wore a Batman shirt last time. It was black with just a bat on it. But you didn't notice because all you could notice was that I wasn't wearing my hat.
That's all I was looking at.
I forgot my hat last time.
Yeah, I mean, we watched Twilight this week, and I was just like, honestly, he wasn't that bad in that. Like, I was watching it, and there's some cringe moments in Twilight.
Yeah.
But like overall, like he does great in that movie, and so
he gets a pass because he's such a good Batman.
Yeah. So yeah, I think he's just so hot. And
wait, what? Wait, hold on a second. You just think he's so hot? What?
Yeah, I think he's a great actor. I think he's hot. I mean, there's just what can't he do, right?
Oh yeah,
he's my man crush 100%.
Oh my gosh. So. Okay. My question for you, because when I was watching Penguin, is what we're seeing in Penguin. Is that going to feed into the next installment of this series right here? I mean, it has to, right?
So I think the Penguin takes place 1 week after the events of the Batman.
Okay.
And the story we're going to get is the rise of Penguin. So pretty much Penguin is like pretty pitiful. Like you can tell he's like smart and he has the chops, but he's also kind of a bum.
Yeah.
And so we're going to see him climb to the top.
Yeah.
I think it's inevitable. He's going to take out the Falcones. He's going to take out the Maronis. He's smart and he has that going for him. So I think we're just going to see him climb to the top. So I think what this is going to do is like, we saw the Penguin a little bit in the first movie. And it was kind of ambiguous as to like what his power was. Like,
right.
Or not like superpowers, but like his just hold on like the gang wars of Gotham. So for people who don't watch the Penguin show, if they just go from watching the Batman 1 to the Batman 2, Penguin's more powerful. I don't think it's going to be like a question like, how did he get there?
Okay.
So I think for us, if like we're watching the Penguin, you're going to see his climb, and it might introduce, I believe we're going to see Harvey Dent in the show. Okay. I think he was in a teaser. So they might introduce some characters. So I don't think it's going to be like you have to watch the Batman 1, the Penguin, and then Batman 2. I think it's just going to be like, hey, if you love this universe, we're going to give you more. We're going to tell more stories. And it will lead in. But I don't think it's going to be like if you don't watch this, you're missing like a whole plot point.
Okay. That's what I was wondering. What'd you think of it? You're the Batman expert.
Yeah, so I thought it was good. I thought it was really, really strong pilot. A stronger pilot than Agatha had, or for a first episode.
Yeah, you really can't compare the two. They're just so. Yeah, they're just
just as far
different.
as like being captivating. Like, that first episode was they're realms apart as far as like
tone,
and everything. I thought it was great. I think a couple things. It was interesting seeing more of Gotham. Like we saw some shinier parts of Gotham. We saw the richer neighborhoods. We saw just like Gotham, like you have like New York City, right? You have like Manhattan, and then you have like New York, which is like Manhattan's an island.
Yeah.
And then you have like New York, which is like a big city, and you have these nice suburbs in New York. And, but Manhattan is like such a different feel. And so that's kind of like what I was thinking of is like, Manhattan can be like dark and dingy sometimes.
Yeah, they had that one scene that was like a Manhattan homage that like looked like it's that one street where you can go on either side and it's a corner and there's a certain building that on the side that it's near Times Square, and they were sitting there looking at it, the Penguin and his protege, so to speak. And I know I know that it's set in Gotham, not New York City. You know, but it had like it had that almost New York 1940s look to it in that moment, which you don't normally see Gotham looking anything close to quaint, anything close to, cozy or nostalgic. It's always just dark, so.
Yeah, that was my one beef with the Dark Knight movies is that it was like always bright in Gotham. Like,
I want it to look like Blade Runner.
Yeah, so like it's clear that like downtown Gotham is dark. And I think that's what was like so shocking is like when he goes to his mom's house and he like out to the suburbs of Gotham, like the sun is shining and it's not overcast and it's not raining there,
Right.
but it's raining in downtown Gotham.
It was so cool. I loved the pilot. I thought it was so good. I'm so excited for the next installment. But and I know that our drop schedule, by the time you're watching this, there'll be another drop, I think, right?
No, they're waiting up.
Okay, so at least all right. There's a that scene where Penguin he's running and he gets off the train and he leaves Gotham and he leaves his tricked out purple car, right? And he gets out of the train and there's this like Volvo with like rims waiting for him. And he turns, it's his car and he gets in the car and the 9 to 5 is playing by Dolly Parton.
Yeah.
And then he gets in the car and he's driving it and he pulls up to like a old brownstone. And I thought that was really well done by the director because kind of what they're doing is they're seeing Penguin's regression back to being small time from like physically leaving Gotham to going to this brownstone, but also in the weather and the way it looks and in the car he's driving. And then even the music that's playing, the 9 to 5 is like now he's a working class stiff. You know, he's working 9 to 5, just trying to make a living. And I just thought that was very thematic. That was very literary to do that.
Yeah,
you know, and I thought that was really cool.
Let's see.
And then his mom turns him right around.
Yeah,
that was an unexpected turn.
I wrote some notes here. Oh, I like his lamp, his waddle. His little penguin waddle.
I like how they explained that too. That was an interesting.
Yeah. Also, they gave his little umbrella. Remember, he was walking with the umbrella. Yeah. Well, I had a nice little nod to the comics there.
Yeah, that was
Penguin.
Good.
Penguin has got his umbrella in the comics, and that's kind of his weapon. Probably not going to be his weapon in the show.
No, I think the gun is the weapon.
Yeah. I thought it was interesting. I feel like it turned at some point, but I feel like when we first meet Victor, and for a while there, we're kind of like we're like watching the show from that kid's perspective. Just like really confused and like trying to figure out like what's going on. But then there kind of comes a point where like you get disassociated from Victor because he then becomes part of the whole it's shenanigan. You can feel their it's clearly a character arc story and not just one character, but at least two. Yeah.
You know, I mean, you see Victor in the first time you see him really having a heart, like when he gets scared, he's got a stutter, he's stammering, to the point where, you know, Penguins even notices it's like, man, you know, take a breath, you know, kind of thing. And I think we're slowly seeing him still fumble and have issues, but I think by the end of the series, he's not going to be recognizable to what we saw that first scene with him. I think that's part of the storyline, that protege story. And they said that at the end of the trailer that came up. They're talking to Colin Farrell. But man, I didn't think I was going to have. I thought, will I have enough time to watch this whole thing in one sitting? Because I might have to like break it up because I have some things. I could not get away from it. Like there was no way from the minute it started that I could even move.
Yeah.
I watched it from beginning to end, and it's like we're Agatha Harkness, the Agatha All Along kind of feels like, and it's not a negative, but it feels sort of like Applejack and cotton candy. And that's fun, and I'm looking forward to that. This is like sit down steak and potatoes, for sure. And it's just this is one where you need to pay attention. Like the more you pay attention to it, the more you're going to find in it. I think Reeves is putting that kind of effort into directing this thing. There's a depth to it, right? Couldn't you feel it?
He's not directing it, but he is.
Oh, I thought he was.
No.
Oh, okay.
But he is involved in the creative process of the show.
I should check with you first because you're always up on all this industry stuff. Yeah. but it felt really well thought out and put together.
Yeah.
You know, so I feel like we're in good hands with that show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see what happens. It's like 8 episodes only. So no episode this Sunday, but the next Sunday. So we're going to film the next episode of the podcast before we even see episode 2.
All right.
So yeah, September 29th is the next episode.
Okay.
And then they will start to tell the
Colin Farrell is like the male Meryl Streep. Like he just disappears into the character.
He's so good.
I can't find him.
Yeah, I can't.
I keep thinking that's not really Colin Farrell. Like I'm looking and trying to find. He just disappears into this character. He's incredible. He's doing an incredible job.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
And what the character, just what ends up happening. We have Maroni, and I believe I'm not fully caught up on my Two-Face lore, but what I was reading on Twitter, and this is actually something I didn't know, was Maroni the one who made Harvey Dent Two-Face? Because people were saying, like, I saw people making connections that, like, in The Dark Knight, we had Maroni.
Right.
But he wasn't the one who made Two-Face. It was, Joker. So
yeah, I don't know. Two-Face experts, let us know in the comments.
Age. I don't need, is Maroni Golden Age? It could have been like a retelling of his origin, but or
if
somebody
you know,
was just talking out the side of their mouth. I don't know. It's the first time.
Which makes sense if it's Two-Face.
Yeah. It's the first time I'd ever heard that, honestly. So, I think it was cool seeing a broader Gotham. Just seeing different parts of it. I think the important thing about that was seeing just how dark, like darkness just looms over like Gotham. Like the striking difference, like when he goes to his mom's house and it's bright and sunny. And then it was just like, how is it bright and sunny there? And then like it was raining, like pouring down rain the night before in Gotham.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately, I know they said Robert Pattinson and the Batman's not going to be in this show. But the only thing I just keep wondering is like, what is he doing right now? Like, what is he plotting?
The chronology of the Penguin is after the events of this movie. Correct?
Takes up 1 week after.
That's what I thought, because they're referencing like, I know your building got blown up, or So I remember that's from the first movie. So yeah, I don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, so I'm curious.
Hit him up and ask him. He's your man crush.
I will. Dude, if I ever met Robert Pattinson, I would just be
slide into his DMs.
I saw this crazy movie with Robert Pattinson called High Life, and I do not recommend it to anybody.
Okay.
It's good. It's sci-fi-y. It's weird. It's an A24 movie, I think, and it's made from a French filmmaker, director, writer, and I think they're notorious for like weird.
They always have been, yeah.
And this movie is weird, like just it is out there. It takes place in space. Yeah, I don't even know how to describe, but it's weird.
Okay, but you don't recommend it.
I don't recommend it, but
now everyone's gonna watch it because they're like,
okay. I'm trying to think of another. The Lighthouse. Have you seen The Lighthouse with him and Willem Dafoe?
No.
So, black and white with a different ratio. Also.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Also a weird movie, but not as like far out there as this French film was. Okay. They're both like, I don't think pirates is the right word.
I recently watched
fishermen.
Okay.
They're both
pirates.
Yeah.
They're pirates.
They're both fishermen, and like they're in like Canada on like a lighthouse, and they're like stormed in, and they just like start to lose their minds slowly. And it's like...
So they're just locked in, just the two of them? And...
Yeah, because it's like stormy out. Like they can't go anywhere. And so it's just the two of them. And it takes place in like the late 1800s, early 1900s. And it's just like a descension into madness.
They wind up trying to kill each other
for
or something
both of them.
Like
It's if you... Dara was like... That was a great film. Like, by any means, it's a great film. I will never watch that movie again. I probably won't either because it is weird.
Okay.
But yeah, it is.
All right.
Yeah, it's all the cameras are dying. Now we only got one camera left.
All right. Take us home then.
Wait.
That's because we turned the cameras on and sat down and talked for half an hour about other stuff. This is what happens when we get together. There's no telling.
At least we got that one back for a second. Yeah. Have you seen a lot of Robert Pattinson films?
No.
Yeah.
No. I didn't really even watch the Twilight films. I did because I had 2 daughters growing up. So they were, I was in and out of the room, watching Edward this and Edward that,
Team Edward.
Yeah.
No, he redeemed his career because the Twilight movies are like.
That could typecast him for good, right?
Yeah. And it was definitely like cringe. Like I said, it was cringe. And yeah, he just became this like teen girls loved him and loved Jacob, and so it was just like he'll never be anything more than like a pretty face to, the teenage girls of the
2010s,
2010s, and so he kind of just like he locked in, and he just like he picked up movies like small indie movies, and just like Darren, I've been going back and watching. I've been just like. It's just crazy, the amount of work that he's put in to just be like
to break away from that,
and
which isn't easy to do. It's like breaking out of the orbit of the Death Star.
Yeah, and no, literally, and like the way that he like still talks about Twilight, like he doesn't like bash it, like he gives it respect, and like I think that's why I call him my man crush. Is like because I remember when the movies came out, I was like, I'm Team Jacob, man. Screw the shiny, glistening guy. But then, like, just watching him, like, totally just, like, lock in.
Yeah.
Put in that grind and that effort to just, like, be like, no, I'm more than, like, what you guys are telling me that I am.
You have to respect it, yeah.
Yeah. So.
Daniel Radcliffe tried to do that, too, a bit.
Yeah.
But I think I don't know if it worked out for him or not, but I know he took some more edgy roles trying to be something other than Harry Potter. It's really tough, right?
Yeah, it is tough.
I think, is it Emma Thompson?
Yeah.
Okay. I always get the Thompsons mixed up. There's a few, but
is Emma Thompson the older actress?
See, I don't know. But anyway, I think the Thompson who plays Hermione,
Emma,
has done. Yeah, she's done the best. I think she's been the most successful breaking out of that role.
Yeah. When we saw Merrily We Roll Along when we went to New York in April, and Daniel Radcliffe was in that, and he was incredible.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That you'd seen that.
Yeah, he's
been on Broadway.
He's been on Broadway for a while.
Yeah, okay.
That musical's not playing anymore, but he's like, we saw that and we were like, oh wow, like that was powerful.
Yeah.
I don't think he's brought that to like the screen yet.
Right.
Maybe he will, maybe he won't. But, I know he played Weird Al Yankovic.
Yeah, he did.
I never saw that movie, but
I did. Yeah, or at least I walked in on Deb watching it, and I came home and she was like, "Matt, that's pretty much how I absorb movies." It's like, I'll come home from work or she'll be watching a movie. Not like she sits around watching movies all day or anything, but she loves movies even more than I do, and she watches she'll watch a movie 5 times, like if she likes it. So
sure.
So I absorb, and I do too to an extent. But I've watched a lot of movies halfway through. Like there'll be a movie that everybody thinks I know really well, and then finally one day I'll sit down and watch from the beginning. I'll say, "Wow, I never saw the beginning of this movie." People are like, "What?" And I go, "Yeah, I never did because I'd always tune." Like it's bizarre. I have an interesting experience with movies.
So 2 more things. We'll finish off here. 1. Or 3 more things, actually.
Okay.
But 2 of them will be short. One of them, I'll try to keep it short. The one that I'll try to keep short is about my organizing my collection. I'll talk about that a little bit. 1, Joker comes out in 2 weeks.
Okay. That's my time
limit.
We
gotta watch it.
We got to watch Joker 1 first, or I do.
Well, I think what we'll have to do is we'll have to watch it before we record next.
Okay.
Because we'll want to give your reaction to Joker 1, and then the next episode will be that first week of October. So then we'll have seen it, and then we'll have to record. So 2 episodes from now, next week you talk about Joker 1. The week after that, we talk about Joker 2.
Okay.
So we'll just have to figure out what works within the next week.
All right, sounds good. We can do that.
Or
I actually have Tuesday off.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can do that.
I'm not no classes that day.
All right, sweet. Sweet, then we'll nail in time for that. Second thing, I think we should do an episode in your comic room.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, we can show people. This is the comic room pod after all. So
Show my comic room, which is like a multi-purpose room, but it's my room, like it's my office. So
I was thinking we can just like get a seat where your like your whole setup is, and then I'll sit in that like swivel chair in the corner, and then
that'd be fun.
That could work. Yeah,
that'd be awesome. I'm up for that. If we need to move a bookshelf out of the way or something, we can totally do that.
Yeah, I will figure a thing for that.
Totally. Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah. So hopefully in the next month.
Sure, that'd be fun. And we'll try to make it so the room doesn't make us look like yellow.
Oh yeah, we'll bring these lights and you'll be good.
Well, better than my soft, warm, antique lighting.
Okay. We'll bring these lights and we'll do it at noon so that we have, because you have a good window that brings in a lot of natural light.
Yes, absolutely.
So we'll just make sure we'll do it when the sun's up and shining.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Last thing is I've been reorganizing my collection. I'll show you when we're done recording, but I did a little research the best way to store raw comics. And because what I had done is like face to face this whole time. And a benefit to that is you can fit apparently more comics in a box.
Makes sense.
That's what people have said. And that also helps with like spine roll and like long-term just damage to the book. But it's hard. You can't really like thumb through.
Yeah, it's a pain.
Yeah, it's a pain. So then I was like, okay, like how are people storing their comics? And I found out Mylar double board is like the way to like keep that spine roll from happening. So I did that. Books feel amazing in hand. They look amazing.
Yeah.
And I have to say, when I'm holding these books, my low grade books look way better, even than just like sitting in like the normal, like flimsy comic bag.
Yeah.
It looks way better than that. It feels strong because it's got two backing boards.
Yeah.
And I now understand why people will keep a book raw instead of getting it graded. I will say having one backing board in a Mylar, the book felt flimsy. It didn't feel super safe. And I don't think I ever thought those things like on the nose.
Right.
Like, but I think I always subconsciously was like, yeah, this is like,
it's not solid.
Yeah, it's not solid. But when I put two in there and I'm like, oh, this holds. Like, this is harder to bend.
Yeah, you can hold it from a corner.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, I guess I still want to get my valuable books graded because I think that's just like a helpful thing. Like, barring, hopefully like no tragedy happens, but like, if one does, it's easier to, move a collection around and
for sure.
And those types of things. That's like the grim side of it. But also just these like, we've talked about the controversies, like we have our opinions on it, whatever, like no matter what the company is, like this just looks great. And or at least you would hope to know that like these books are safe in there. But yeah, when I was double boarding them, putting them in Gerber Mylars.
Gerber. I remember Gerber showing up. I think, it was Bill Cole. Remember when I was a kid collecting.
Yeah. So those are apparently like the best Mylars on the market.
Yeah. You got to show me. So because I've seen a couple of your books in that and it look, I've got mine in Mylars, but I don't think those.
Yeah. Yeah. So this past week, essentially I've spent a lot of time. I got the green chair that I was sitting in a couple weeks ago. It's normally over here. I bring in the little like TV.
It's a lot of fun, right?
Table right here. And then I have Daredevil playing on the TV. So I like binged through Daredevil season 2.
Yeah.
Essentially in the last week.
You sent me a video and the video was showing me like how cool the comics look in your box. And I'm hearing a familiar scene playing in the background. I'm like, nice movie, nice show that you're playing,
Yeah. So it's fun rewatching Daredevil. I've got a video planned in my mind about it, but yeah.
That's cool. Yeah. You told me in the text, this is literally therapeutic. And I get that. And I think my response was, totally. Like I spent at least an hour, an hour a day, a couple times, 2-3 times a week, whatever, just on the floor in my room, just literally playing with my comics. I don't know what else to say. Like, I don't really need to be doing anything. I'm just, let's reorganize them again, because I want to play with them.
Yeah.
I want to take them out and look at them. This is so much fun.
It is fun. And another thing I'll say that I've learned is I think 25-cent covers are my favorites right now. I think I'm just like, I'm looking at these covers a lot of times raw for the first time. Or I bought them in bags. A lot of times I left them in the bags. Sometimes it's like, sometimes I switched them if the bag was like really dirty or if the board was really dirty. But I've always thought like if the bag was good enough, if the board was good enough, there was no need for me to like switch it over because Mylars and boards are expensive.
They are expensive.
But now I'm seeing that it's an investment and it's worth it.
Oh yeah, because you won't ever have to replace the Mylar, whereas the polypropylene, 3 to 5 years, they start turning brown, yellow,
wrinkly.
And you don't even really notice it until you take it out and you're like, look at that thing. It looks like if I can't even see clearly through it.
Yeah.
And then you put your comic in a Mylar and it just pops and then suddenly you realize how much you like the cover. It's a lot of fun. That's cool, man.
Yeah, so a lot of these covers, I'm going through all my Silver Age and Bronze Age right now. I'm not done.
Yeah.
But I'm bagging and boarding all the way up to Marvel 60 cent pretty much.
Okay.
I looked up like a map or I Googled like when the cutoff was and it's kind of debated but 75 cent is sometimes put into the Bronze Age.
Yeah.
But I saw that the most consistent was like 60 cent was definitely Bronze Age. Some 75 cent, some not 75 cents are considered Bronze Age. So I was just like, well, I'll just gather all of my up to 60 cent and then Mylar and double board those. But
once they're locked in, they're locked in. You're good.
Yeah. And just holding them like out of the bag and like seeing some of this art just like in my hand is just like, wow.
Yeah.
So 25 cent, I think
that's right.
Underrated.
That's cool, man. I love it. That's so many ways to unlock enjoyment in this hobby. And you just articulated one of them right there.
Yeah, big time. So it's made me love my collection more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love my collection more than I did 2-3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be hunting 25 cent. I think the 25 cent bronze is like,
and that's Marvel or DC either way.
I have a picture of like the breakdown of like the prices, but at some point DC had different pricing. They kept up with each other for a while, but I don't remember where they split.
My current favorite is 20 cent. I love the frame covers.
Yeah.
And I just love the font of the 20. I always have. I just think I don't know. It looks really slick.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. No, yeah. I love 20 cent covers too. Yeah. 20 cent covers are.
And I love 25 cent covers.
Yeah. But I think there's a well of untapped keys in the 25 cent. And probably honestly the 20 cent too.
For
sure. The 25 cent seems to have run longer than the 20 cent.
Yeah.
And I mean the 25 cent you got Moon Knight, you got Wolverine, like you have a lot of gems in there.
That's true.
And I think what's important about that 25 cent, what's important about the Bronze Age is that is when it's kind of funny. That is kind of like when Stan Lee started to stop writing comics and when other writers started to take over. And that's when Marvel saw a shift and kind of the quality of writing, but also the tone of writing.
Changed.
Like it's less tongue-in-cheek type.
The problems become more real world problems rather than, kind of larger than life, good versus evil. Stop this bad guy from doing this thing, the end, kind of thing.
Yeah.
More operatic, like it goes on for a few issues. Kirby and Lee did that to a degree, but it was still just basically saving the world again.
Yeah.
Where it isn't that way in the Bronze Age. You're tackling like social stuff and interpersonal stuff to much greater detail, I think. Yeah. That's awesome, man. That's cool.
I'll have to send you this blog post. I didn't read it all, but maybe we can talk about it another time. But it was essentially this guy arguing or making an argument that the Bronze Age is Golden Age V2.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that conversation. I think that's very. I'm intrigued by that perspective. I think I'd love to hear more about that. I certainly can say that when you talk about the covers of the comics, there's a bigness and a brightness to the Bronze Age covers that reminds me of Golden Age. They went away from that in the Silver Age a lot. Like it's just, they look different.
Yeah.
You know? But the Bronze Age, they went back to the primary colors and they're popping left and right. And, a lot of square bound stuff shows up. I think just from that alone, just at first thought, that's a pretty interesting theory.
Yeah. I kind of just skimmed it. I didn't like read in depth. I'd like just wherever my eyes caught, I was kind of like what I read. And yeah, he said the bump in the quality of writing, the art takes a whole new direction. Yeah. Like the covers become an art piece.
Yeah.
As opposed to like where it's like, as opposed to like Silver Age is like
it's not all three of them. It's like bowling a strike. I couldn't do that again if I tried.
Like with the Moon Knight, the Werewolf by Night over there, like the whole thing, like that whole cover is just like there's so much going on, and it's just like an art piece in and of itself. But Silver Age a lot is like you kind of get this. It's like two characters, like kind of just like like an emphasis on the characters and less on like the background. And like there are some Silver Age pieces like that, but the Silver Age is really character focused, whereas the Bronze Age kind of focuses on like telling more of a story with context.
Yep.
Instead of like telling a story based on like here it's like, oh, okay, Spider-Man and Daredevil are like interacting and they're like on the flying high above the city. Here, okay, Kingpin versus Spider-Man. Here, Spider-Man no more. Oh, okay, Spider-Man's walking away. But like with those over there, there's just like it's not just Dracula holding a girl. It's like Dracula holding a girl and like this like swampy, foggy with the moon. And there's so much more story that's being told with the art.
That or even that one, right?
Yeah.
That's another one. Yeah, that's cool. I love the Bronze Age covers. I always have.
Yeah, so
always have.
I think I'm going to be on a Bronze Age kick for AtCon, LA Comic Con, and New York Comic Con.
It'll be. I mean, it can be very expensive, but it can also be a lot less expensive to get. As if you're just looking for cool 25-cent covers, man, how much fun would that be?
Yeah.
Like you don't even have to spend money and be completely satisfied. Like that's fun. Like, I might copy you on that with some of that just for fun.
Hopefully, it just doesn't lead me down the. Oh well, now I need to get Hulk 181.
Well, it might, but I think every collector at some point in his or her life probably has to have that book. I've never owned it, and I feel like I have to own it at some point.
Well, I guess we'll see.
Maybe we can go in on one together. Co-own it.
Yeah. All right. That's our episode.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate you guys. Fun. As always, don't forget to check out my interview with Gus of Silver Age Comics. Link will be at the end of this video, but also in the description below. Follow us on Instagram at Spros_comics and at Mr.Longbox. And yeah, you guys have a good one.
Take it easy. See you next time.
See ya.
It's the money.